In the annals of Australian racing, few stories galloped so memorably into farce and infamy as the tale of Fine Cotton, a scandal so brazenly bungled that it reads more like a slapstick comedy than a serious criminal enterprise. The year was 1984. Horse racing in Australia was big business, awash with money and the scent of opportunity. Among the many gamblers hoping to beat the odds were a ragtag group of schemers who believed they'd cracked the ultimate shortcut to a payday: a switch a slow, no-hope a horse with a much faster ringer, enter it under the slow one's name, and rake in the winnings before anyone could say photo finish. Their patsy of choice? A mediocre brown gelding named Fine Cotton. He was so unremarkable, in fact, that he had no hope of winning a race unless every other horse tripped over. Enter Bold Personality, a faster and better performed horse who looked, well, not much like Fine Cotton at all. He was taller, fitter, and crucially, a completely different color. Still, the conspirators pressed ahead. Their plan was to scratch Fine Cotton from a modest race at Brisbane's Eagle Farm and run Bold Personality in his place. The betting plunge was already on, thousands were being wagered around the country at long odds. All they had to do was make sure no one noticed the switch. But horses, like fingerprints, have markings. Bold Personality was a bay, deep brown with black points, while Fine Cotton was a chestnut. Not even close. So, in a panicked effort to make Bold Personality resemble his slower cousin, the conspirators turned to hair dye. At the last minute, they daubed peroxide and clairol onto Bold Personality's coat, hoping to approximate the chestnut hue. That was only the beginning of their problems. On the day of the race, August 18, 1984, Fine Cotton, actually Bold Personality in a poor disguise, surged to an unlikely win. It should have been the perfect crime. But instead, what followed was a masterclass in amateur blundering. The dyed coat began to run with sweat. Spectators noticed the odd color. Even worse, Fine Cotton had white markings on his legs. Bold Personality didn't, so the crooks hastily taped some white bandages onto his legs before the race. They started slipping off during the run. By the time the stewards began asking questions, punters and officials were already muttering about a horse who looked like he'd come from a costume party. The ruse unraveled almost immediately. The inquiry was swift. Fine Cotton was disqualified, and an investigation launched into the betting plunge that preceded the race. It didn't take long for the culprits to be identified. Among them was former trainer Hayden Haitana and, more notoriously, racing identity John Gillespie. But shadowy figures loomed behind them, most notably, big-time punters like Bill and Robbie Waterhouse, who were accused of knowing about the scam before the race and betting accordingly. In the fallout, several people were warned off for life, including the Waterhouses, though their bans were eventually lifted. Haitana served jail time. Gillespie vanished for a while before being caught. The scandal rocked Australian racing to its core and led to tighter regulations and scrutiny. In the end, the Fine Cotton affair is remembered not just for its audacity but for its sheer incompetence. The image of a badly dyed horse sweating off his disguise, white leg bandages flapping, remains a symbol of what happens when greed gallops ahead of common sense. It was the great horse swap that never cleared the first hurdle, and Australia has never let it live it down.